Donc Anders Gravers, d'accord, et donc Agnès vont le présenter.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Agnès, j'ai souhaité la venue d'Anders Gravers et donc c'est moi qui vais vous le présenter. Je veux commencer par vous dire qu'Anders et moi, nous avons à peu près le même âge. Que depuis que je sais à peu près l'âge de lire, je vis avec la hantise du plus jamais ça par rapport au nazisme qui a fini 15 ans avant ma naissance. Premièrement. Et depuis, et pendant longtemps, jusqu'à la chute du mur, et même à peu près, j'ai vécu avec l'horreur du communisme, avec la conscience aiguë que ça se passait juste à côté de nous et au Cambodge. Et quand j'ai lu les textes d'Anders Gravers, et depuis 2001, ce que je vois, c'est un nouveau totalitarisme monstrueux qui nous arrive en plein dans la figure et quasiment personne ne semble s'en rendre compte. Quand j'ai lu... J'ai lu les textes d'Anders Gravers qui appelaient à célébrer le 11 septembre à Bruxelles, j'ai retrouvé la même vision historique. Alors je l'ai tout de suite, je l'ai appelé, je lui ai dit, écoute, moi je pense que le problème c'est dans les textes de l'islam et non pas dans une rue. Il m'a dit, je suis d'accord. Je lui ai dit, écoute, je suis féministe. Il m'a dit, ah, ma copine aussi, j'aime ça. Donc nous avons sympathisé et je suis contente de l'accueillir aujourd'hui.
When I normally shall describe the Muslim war strategies against Europe and my country, Denmark, is the use of two methods. The salami method, slice by slice so no one opposes, and the dominant behavior of the Muslims. They have used these strategies in Denmark and Europe for 30 years now. Islam would never have got a stronghold in Europe if it had not been for the European dhimmis. What is a dhimmi then? The basic understanding of a dhimmi is a person who is under Islam's so-called protection and pay Muslim jizya, a kind of protection money. A lot of Christians live under very bad conditions as dhimmis all over the Muslim world. But today I will use the word dhimmi in another way. We use dhimmi to describe mainly left-wing multicultural people who are Muslim appeasers. When I think about the dhimmis, I always think of the old Winston Churchill quote, an appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile, hoping it will eat him last. They are ready to do anything to please the Muslims and meet their demands in order to avoid any trouble or tension. In fact, they are ready to sell out the Western values to live in peace. It is another way of paying jizya. In fact, they have not only allowed the salami method, they have encouraged it. In the beginning, when there were not so many Muslims, there were no demands. But when the numbers increased, they started to demand special treatment for Muslims. Here follows a few examples of the salami method in Europe. Muslims have demanded special times for Muslim women only to use the public swimming hall because Muslim women are not allowed to swim together with men. That was one slice. Muslim men have demanded curtains in the changing room in the shower section because Muslim men are not allowed to show themselves naked in front of other men. They have got their curtains. Yet another slice. The Muslim children are not allowed to take showers with other children after gym hours in school. Yet another slice. The Muslim can't even be dead together with the so-called non-believers in the mortuaries in the hospitals. Muslim relatives have demanded special rooms for their dead family members, and they have got it for our tax money. Yet another slice. Pigs were removed from children's books and banks and have removed their children's piggy banks because they hurt Muslim feelings. Banks have now offered Sharia banking because Muslims are not allowed to pay interest. This gives Muslims the control over where the money goes, and Muslim so-called charities are financed. Muslims have demanded praying rooms in the schools and have got it. Everybody is obliged to take any kind of job offered when getting social welfare. Unemployed Muslim women are allowed to say no to certain jobs where they could get in contact with men or pork meat. At Christmas time, big supermarkets and malls have removed the Christian Christmas decoration just because it maybe could offend the Muslims. In many big towns, institutions don't serve pork meat for the children any longer. So even though the Danish economy is largely based on pork exports, Danish children are no longer allowed to eat all the different and common pork dishes. Some of the schools in Copenhagen have recently introduced mothers-only parent-teacher meetings. The fact is that they are appeasing the Muslim men who do not allow their wives to take part in any meetings where men are present. Therefore, Danish fathers have to stay home when women-only meetings take place. Because of the cartoon crisis, journalists no longer dare to publish the Muhammad cartoon in the newspapers. Books have been rewritten because of fear of violent Muslims. And ladies and auction house didn't want to sell a drawing made by Kurt Vestergaard because of fear from Muslim protest. The Sharia censorship is creeping in. The appeasement politics carried out by the European dhimmis has not made the Muslims more satisfied with the Europeans. In fact, the contrary. Because the many Muslim demands are being met, they feel that they have enough power to move to the next step, and that is to use a well-known Muslim weapon, dominant behavior, towards everybody who is not a Muslim. The dominant behavior is intended to make non-Muslims convert to Islam so they can be in peace. We see the dominant behavior in the rise of the crime rate committed by the non-Western population. They want to show they are in charge of the whole infidel kofar system. Muslims throw stones and bottles at police, firemen and rescue teams when they enter the Muslim-only ghettos. Ambulances and firemen have to wait for police escort. In Denmark, we have the right to demonstrate in any public place we like. As long as the demonstrations are peaceful, the police cannot forbid them. But because of the increasing Muslim population, the police have now ordered the demonstrations to stay out of certain areas with many Muslim inhabitants. The reason? The police fear Muslim violence and vandalism. In other words, we have now areas where Muslims control the streets and where the Danish law no longer applies. We have to hire professional security for our demonstrations. Muslim criminal gangs are ruling the streets in many of the major cities in Europe, where the dominant behavior spreads fear amongst the people living there. In Copenhagen, Muslim gangs have made special zones where people will be body searched if they want to pass through. The police have not succeeded to stop it. This dominant behavior spreads to non-Muslim areas. If a person meets a group of young Muslims on the street and dares to look them in the eyes, the Muslims take that as a provocation and attack the person. This happens every day. Most Danes now look down when passing Muslim group as a result of their dominant behavior. Rape is also a part of the dominant behavior. Rapes have increased over the last 20 years, and many do not report the rape because of threats. Homosexuals are also feeling the Muslim dominant behavior. Attacks on them are the most common hate crimes in big cities. Greenland is the part of the Danish state, which is why there are many Greenlanders in Denmark. Some of them have been stoned out of Muslim areas. They have actually been expelled from Gellerup, a Muslim area in the second biggest town, Aarhus. Jews are being hunted down and beaten up in Europe these days. Many Jews dare not wear the kippah in certain areas because they fear violent attacks from Muslims. In fact, many Jews have now left Europe because it's no longer safe to live in major cities in Europe as a Jew. Jews have also left Denmark because of that. It hurts to watch this development in Denmark because Denmark is known for our rescuing of numerous Jews during World War II. Now the police intelligence have openly declared that they cannot even guarantee their safety anymore. With all this in mind, a special quote comes to my mind which fits exactly on Islam in Europe. Their way to march 1,000 miles and still win the battle is to make the other side march 1,000 miles. The dhimmis and their dhimmi attitude have marched and are still marching for Islam. How can we stop this suicidal development? How can we turn this quote around and use it against the Islamization of Europe? SIO was founded in 2007 as a European model of SIAT, Stop Islamization of Denmark. One of the cornerstones in SIAT is our provocations. We are fully convinced that if we should have a chance to wake up our populations, we need to provoke in order to get the truth forwards. By provocation we mean in the Roman law understanding, to act as an advocate in a courtroom to provoke the accused till he reveals his true face. SIAT and SIO have carried out numerous demonstrations, and especially the ones that took place in certain Muslim areas, make the Muslims show their true face, so that people can be informed that Islam is not a religion of peace. SIAT held a demonstration in 2006 in a Muslim area in Aarhus with the title, "The Genocide at Hamas Out of Scandinavia." 800 furious Palestinians turned up, fired chrysanthemum bombs and fireworks after the police and journalists, threw stones and made so much disturbance that the police had to escort our little demonstration away before it was finished. SIO held a demonstration in commemoration of September the 11th, 2009 in Harrow, London, to oppose the building of a big mosque. There were only Stephen Gass and around 20 others, but around 2,000 furious Muslims turned up and made riots in the street. Stephen Gass was arrested and the demonstration were prevented. SIO was called fascist and far-right by the media and even government ministers. Contrast it with the response to a Muslim demonstration in London the previous January, where Muslims rioted. Nobody called them fascist, and the BBC described the demonstration as peaceful. SIO demonstrated in Harrow in December to show we were not defeated. Hardly any Muslims showed up. Since 2009, 5 mosques have been stopped from being built in England, including the world's largest, planned for the 2012 Olympics in London. So, action does work. Remember, the shoe bomber and other terrorists have been sent out from these mosques. Socialism, communism, and Islam are collectivist totalitarian doctrines, which is why they support each other. The biggest totalitarian project is the European Union. The European Union acts secretly, with the European people being deceived about its development. Democracy is being deliberately removed. The latest example being the Lisbon Treaty. However, the plan goes much further, with the ultimate goal being a Euro-European superstate incorporating Muslim countries of North Africa and the Middle East and the European Union. This was already initiated with the signing of the Barcelona Treaty in 1995 by the EU and 9 North African states and Israel, and which became effective 1st January 2010. It's also known as the Euro-Mediterranean Cooperation. In return for some European control of oil resources, Muslim countries will have unfettered access to technology and movement of people in Europe. The price Europeans will have to pay is the introduction of Sharia law and removal of democracy. Violent economic, cultural and stealth jihad is the knife slicing the salami of freedom. The salami of freedom is still being sliced. It's the time for us to snatch the slicing knife of jihad. Stop mosque building, stop Sharia law, stop Sharia finance. For we are free, not dhimmis, and we will never be dhimmis. We will never surrender!